And I want to start our discussion by just asking the timeline from your high school career to where you are now.
Okay, I'll do that. First of all, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking fourth period off to come hear me talk about stuff. I'll try to keep this as interesting as possible. So, once again, my name is Anthony Austin. I am the evening news anchor for First Coast News in Jacksonville, NBC and ABC. I anchor the 5, 6, and 11 o'clock news. So I go to work at 3 p.m. and then I'm off at midnight. So this is really early for me, just to let you know. This is like 4 a.m. in my world. But to tell you a little bit about myself, so you were asking about high school. This wasn't my first passion. In fact, it was actually high school where I found out about broadcast journalism. My original plan, I was going to go to school to become a doctor, but then in my senior year, we started dissecting things like frogs and pigs, and my teacher would walk over and she was like, "What did you do to this animal?" And I was like, I don't know. I can't even identify any of the body parts. So I was like, well, maybe I should be a doctor. So let's find out what else I can do. So one year, we had a bunch of colleges come to my high school, and I was just looking through some magazines and I found out that you could major in broadcast news. So I didn't realize that to become a news anchor, you could get a degree in it. I thought being on TV, being a news anchor or being a TV reporter, I thought you just went to like the TV station and auditioned. I thought it was like an actor. I didn't know you could actually get a degree in it. So I was able to get an internship at my local NBC station in Tyler before I went to college so I could see if I liked it, and I fell in love with it. I was like, there's nothing else I want to do. I was like, this is for me. And the main reason I got into this business is because I wanted to help people. And having an outlet like TV and a digital outlet as well, to have that voice amplified to help people with different things, is just kind of what I fell in love with. So I graduated from White House High School. Also, I went to high school with Patrick Mahomes, but he's younger. My brother graduated with him. So I graduated from White House High School, then I went to the University of North Texas, where I majored in broadcast journalism for 4 years. I also got a minor in social science, which I'm not sure what that is, but I have it. I think it's just the science of being social. That's what I tell people all the time. But I have my minor in that, and then after that, I started in my hometown and started working for CBS.
So cool. So within that, what originally inspired you to get into this industry?
Okay. So as I was kind of mentioning about, I found out that you could get a degree in broadcast journalism, which I wasn't aware of. Growing up in my home, my parents, the only thing on TV, it was either news or sports. So I was always, we watched every single newscast, every single local newscast, or whether it was national, whatever it may be. My parents were news junkies. And also, I'm kind of a nosy person, so I like to know what's always happening, what's always going on, and I want to be the first one to find out. And so I kind of fell in love with it that way. And when I interned at the TV station in Tyler, and just being behind the scenes and getting to go to like all kinds of different things around town, community events, when breaking news happened, you're the first person there. Sometimes before even police arrive, at different situations like different crime scenes and all of that. I just fell in love with it because it's something different every day. My job, I'm rarely just sitting at my desk. It's not like a job where it's 9 to 5. I'm always out in the community. I was in Georgia last week. I might be down south in Palatka one week. I might be, you never know. So I'm always doing different things. And I get to do like these cool school visits. So I'm always meeting new people, which I enjoy. And I've been doing it for 15 years now, probably longer than some of you have been alive. So it's like, I enjoy it so much. It's just always an interesting day.
So don't need to know anything personally.
Okay.
But what is the salary like for your job and other positions at the station?
So he asked about the salary requirements for my job, and this is always an interesting question because I try to explain it to people. TV is very interesting in the aspect of you can be very low and then you can be very high. So I'll tell you, out of college, I graduated from college in 2008. My first TV job, I made $22,000 a year. And I thought that was a lot of money. It wasn't at all. Like in 2008, I can't even, in 2024, that's not going to get you anywhere. But 2008, I thought I was making a lot of money at the time. And then I got a whole $2,000 raise the next year to make $24,000 the next year. So when you're beginning in TV, you don't make a lot. And one of the reasons I hear is because this is one of those industries where a lot of people want to be on TV, and they know that. So they don't pay too much. So I think right now the starting salary, if you're coming out of college, you might make like 35, maybe 40,000. In fact, our TV company, they just raised, I think no one makes less than $20 an hour now. So no matter what position you come in, you're not going to make less than $20 an hour. But after you've been in the business for a while and you make a name for yourself, that starts rising. So I always say, you look at the network level, you look at people like David Muir on ABC, Lester Holt on NBC, the people on the Today Show, Good Morning America, they're making millions. So it's a long, if you really apply yourself and you make it there, you can make money in this business. People will tell you, oh, TV doesn't pay that well, but it just kind of depends on where you go and how hard you work throughout your career and how long you stick with it. So I don't make $22,000 anymore. I also don't make $1 million. I always tell people I'm somewhere in between there. So but it's enough to pay the bills now.
Right. And I know that you talked a little bit about like going to the community and going to different high schools and stuff like that, talking to them. So we know that work schedules in the media industry can be all over the place. So what kind of schedule can we expect if we decided to pursue this career? What has been your experiences within this career as well?
Okay. That's a really good question. So as I just mentioned to you guys, I work the evening shift. So since I'm the evening news anchor, I go to work at 3 p.m. and then I'm off at midnight. The TV station is kind of always staffed around the clock. So we have our morning crew, our Good Morning Jacksonville crew, or actually, that's where I met Mr. Ward. He used to be our morning director. So they go in at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and then they work until noon. But you have like the producers for that show, they'll come in around 11 p.m. at night, and then they're kind of off around 7, 8 a.m. Then you have the day side shift, and they kind of work a normal 8 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever it may be. And then you have the night side crew where we work 3 p.m. to midnight. So you have people working all around the clock on different shifts. Something that's interesting about this business though, the news is always live. When you're watching the news, it's not recorded. There might be recorded segments within the newscast, but when you're watching the news, someone is always there to do it live, and that means holidays. So if you get into this business, you're going to have to work holidays. I usually work Thanksgiving every year so I can have Christmas off. But there's always somebody working their Christmas. There's someone there for really New Year's Day, whatever it may be, any other holiday. We always have someone there. And when I try to explain to people, my job, I'm under contract. So I'm not paid hourly. I have a 4-year contract. And basically that means there's no cap on how many hours they can tell me to work. So I'm working around the clock. I do a segment called Ask Anthony, so I report sometimes before I even get to work. So I might be doing stories in the community at 11 a.m., but I'm still working until midnight. So it's long hours for this business, and you have to be aware of that if you want to go into this type of career field. You're going to do a lot of working off the clock. That happens a lot. And if there's ever any major breaking news, if anything happens, I remember one time there was a shooting in downtown Jacksonville at what used to be the Jacksonville Landing. I was getting into my bed on a Sunday, about to take a nice little Sunday nap. Got a phone call, you have to come to work right now, we have breaking news. And then I was there until midnight. So that happens a lot. If there's breaking news, you got to go in. During hurricane season, if we have a hurricane heading toward the first coast, we had like Irma and Matthew, I was at work for maybe 2 or 3 days straight. We slept at the TV station. I didn't get to go home. We would just go into an office somewhere and just sleep on the floor. And then you would have your clothes with you, and you just get up, maybe take a shower, do it all over again. We were on the air for more than 50 hours straight.
Wow.
And so we would just kind of divide that by different shifts. And then you have the reporters who are out in the field doing their own thing during the hurricane, who are out there in the sopping wet and everything, just kind of working hours and hours and hours on end.
So what's some advice you would give to anyone that's interested in this field?
Okay. So advice, if you're thinking about going into this career field, you have to have that drive to always learn. This is a career field where you always have to know what's going on. The first thing I do in the morning when I wake up, I'm on social media, I'm going to different news websites, just trying to see what's happening in the community, what's happening across the country. You have to stay informed, and you have to always have a curiosity. That's why I tell people, if you want to be a good journalist, whether it be news, sports, weather, you have to have that curiosity to always know what's happening. Don't be afraid to talk to people and ask them different questions just to get to know people, make small talk, because sometimes for me just having a conversation with someone, I get story ideas. So you never know. You just have to really be involved in the community. You have to be a social person. I was a really shy kid, but after doing this business now, after being in this business for 15 years, that's kind of out the door. Sometimes I forget I'm even on TV and I'm like, oh, don't say that. You know, like I have to remind myself that I'm in front of a camera. But this is a business, I'm not good at math, okay? So that's what I'm happy about journalism. You have to be good at English though. English, reading, writing. I had to take a grammar test before they would even allow me into the journalism field. So if you want to go into this business, you have to be good about reading, English, writing, all of that good stuff. Math, you don't have to be good at it, thank goodness, because it wasn't for me. But that's something to consider if you want to go into this career field. Let me see, what else can I tell you about that? So we talked about entering the career field. Once again, going into this business, you have to be able to work many hours, different shifts. Something that I did during college, I was going to the local TV stations, just kind of getting free. They weren't paying me necessarily, but I would just kind of go and get different experience. Even in high school, like I told you, I interned at one of the TV stations there for free. I was going on the weekends and just kind of learning everything I could. And I know every position in the newsroom too. So I'm on TV as the news anchor, but I know what the directors do. I know what the photographers do. I know the people who edit our video, what the producers do. You just have to learn everything. Get as much knowledge as you can, not just about what you want to do, but just about everything in this career field. And I tell people too, times have changed. So people are not necessarily at home watching the 6 o'clock news anymore on TV, because now we have streaming services, social media. A lot of you guys probably, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Where do you mainly go to get your news?
Can you please ask that again?
Okay. So if you want to know what's happening,
Right.
where do you go to like find out? It doesn't have to be local, just even around the country.
100% social media. I think we can say for all of us is where we get for the news. I mean, there's always stuff on Instagram. TikTok is a big thing.
Yeah.
I'm always getting stuff from TikTok.
Yeah.
And if I want to know more on something, you go to that little search bar in history. I'm sure you'll find what you need to find.
Yeah. So the reason I ask that, because I do know a lot of you guys are on TikTok now, and times have changed to the point where even for us, they're pushing us to kind of be digital first. So we realize in this day and age, more people are going to see our stories online on social media than they probably will on TV. That's just how things are now. So I always tell new journalists, you don't have to just focus on TV anymore. In fact, I think where I went to college at the University of North Texas, they don't even call it journalism anymore. It's like electronic media or something. That's what the degree is now. So even if you're interested in journalism, you can do your own thing. You can start your own platform and do like TikTok or YouTube or whatever it may be. You can start your own platform. You don't necessarily have to go work for a news station anymore. We would like for you to come work for the news station, but we're even trying to find people with different perspectives like that who know how to make TikTok reels or whatever it may be, just because we realize that's where people are going now. And we're just trying to find many digital platforms, many digital outlets to give information.
And I know that, like, touching more on that, you know, one time I was on my TikTok For You page, and this lady, she had come up, and she does the news, like, she's an anchor. And she was making a lot of money filming, like, Get Ready With Me's, getting ready for the news. Like, she would come in, she would be fully dressed, but she would film, like, just doing her makeup and getting ready, and then would film a little bit of, like, portions of the news and her doing it.
Right.
And she said that she was making a ton of money doing that. Like, it is crazy, the different aspects of, you know, y'all's situation.
Yeah.
So, are you the one writing the scripts for all of your interviews, or are they written for you? And how much time do you spend researching before you go out and do interviews in the community?
Okay. All right, so that's a good question there. So he asked about scripts. Do I write what I say on television, and like how much research do I do before I go out and do different reporting in the community? So to answer your first question about scripts, so when it comes to the newscast, I don't write my own scripts. We have producers who do that. They write everything, but then I go behind them. I'm kind of the final gatekeeper. I go and check their scripts to kind of put it in my own voice, because sometimes people write things maybe not like how I would say that. Or also, we're human, we make mistakes, so sometimes our producers do write things that are incorrect. So I have to go back and just kind of fact check it to make sure it's correct on TV, because if I read something on TV that's wrong, you're not going to say, oh, Anthony's producer got that wrong. You're going to say, Anthony's an idiot. That's what you're going to, that's what you're going to say to me. He said, I can't believe he said that. Why did he say that? So that's, at the end of the day, it's my face. So I have to go back and just make sure that everything is correct and everything is factual. Now, when it comes to my own reporting, when I'm going out in the community and reporting, I do all of my own writing. So I write all of my own scripts, and then we have someone who reads over it and approves it. And I'm always doing research. So before, in fact, on my way here, I'm actually going to go shoot a story at 2:30 today about a man who, he's basically living in horrible conditions right now. Basically his entire family has passed away. And he's living in a home with a leaky roof. Half of his home burned down. He's still living in the house. He doesn't have the money to fix the home, and basically the city won't give him the permits to get it done. There's a lot of local companies who have stepped in to rebuild his house, but the city is not allowing it to happen because there's a lot of legal challenges. So I was doing research. I was making phone calls while I was driving down I-10, just talking to people about it, about what I needed to know. So I'm always doing research, trying to find out information for that story that I'm going to work on later today. But when I go out into the field, I write my own stories. I do have a photographer, but I actually enjoy editing, so I usually come back and I edit pretty much all of my stories myself because I enjoy it and I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I like to have control over it. Which, once again, I say, just you need to know how to do everything, because I think that helps my bosses appreciate that I know how to edit my own stories too, because that frees up another person to do something else.
Right. How many years of college, if any, do you suggest is needed to be successful in your field? And could any of these jobs at your station be done without a degree?
That's a really good question. So I tell people now, I'm still an advocate of going to college, but I will tell you this, my first TV job, they didn't even ask about my college degree, and I was a little upset about that, because I was like, I spent 4 years to get this thing, and you don't even want to know if I actually graduated? But I think to do what I do, you still need a college degree to be on air. But other positions in the newsroom, I think they might ask our directors to have college degrees, but it's not something, mostly all of our directors went to college, and our producers as well. But like to be an editor, we've even hired editors who were still in college. We've hired our digital producers. I don't think they all necessarily went to college. So there's different things, and when I say a digital producer, so we have producers whose main focus is just our website and social media. So that's all that they work on. We had a light that just went out, used to that on TV. We know how that works. So you don't necessarily have to go to college for every position in the newsroom. Sometimes if you come right now, we have some people, if they started working on our station in high school or college, they could go ahead and just stay there. You don't necessarily have to earn your degree before getting a position in the newsroom. Once again, it took me 4 years to get my degree in broadcast journalism. And I think it helped. It paid off. I learned about newspaper, TV, radio, you name it, all of that. When I was in college, though, my senior year, they were like, hey, there's this new thing called blogs that they're about to start, where people are like just kind of journaling on the internet. So that was like the newest. We had Facebook when I was in college, but it was only for college students. So we didn't have like all the social media that we have now. So they weren't really aware of that. In fact, my first TV job, they had Facebook blocked on our computers because they said it was a waste of time. They said, you guys don't need to be on social media. And now they encourage us. Like I have, even for my personal page, I have to post at least 3 times a day. That's requirements for my social media. So that just kind of tells you how things have changed over the years.
Who's the most interesting person you've interviewed?
Oh, the most interesting person I've interviewed. That is a really good question.
I'm gonna have those two. Okay.
I'm out of questions.
I've interviewed so many people over the years. I mean, former presidents, a lot of lawmakers, different actors over the years, but the most interesting person, I'm gonna have to think about that for a minute. There's no one that really stands out to me right now. Yeah, let me think about that one. I'll get back to you.
If you don't mind elaborating, I know that you said about you're going to interview the man at like 2:30 today who is in bad living conditions. Do the guys that work with you or the women that work with you, do they find these stories, or how do you go about like interviewing this man? Is he just open to it, or how does that work?
That's a really good question. So I do a segment called Ask Anthony, where people, if you're having a problem in the community, you can email me or call me and with any problem that you're having, and I'll look into it. So that's how we're doing the story today. A man emailed me to say, hey, I know this guy, he's having a tough time, will you come out and help him? So a lot of our news, and I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because how we get most of the news in the community, phone calls, emails, people even hitting us up on social media, sending us DMs, kind of just letting us know what's happening. So I'm going to be like, hey, there's a lot of cops in my neighborhood right now, do you know what's happening, what's going on? Or I know that people will call us and say, hey, you might want to look into these court documents. You might find a story there. So we get a lot of tips from the community. That's kind of where we find out what's happening. And plus we do our own digging as well, where we'll kind of look into different things, whether it be out here in Baker County, Duval, Clay, St. John's. And we kind of ask around law enforcement, the local government, just to see what's happening, and just kind of talk to people to find out what's going on. But a lot of our news comes from you guys, like just people in the community who call us.
So, have you ever regretted this career choice, or like being in a creative field, or has your passion outweighed it?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things I regret in life sometimes, but to tell you about my career field, I'll be honest with you. I'm transparent about this. There's been many times I wanted to quit. In fact, I tried to quit many times. In fact, I tried to go work for the school district at one point to be the public information officer, but that didn't work out. I tell you this, I love what I do, and I think that's what's kept me in this business for so long, but I have to admit sometimes the hours have gotten to me because I work so much. And even just the news. We talk about a lot of things in the news, and I have to say it over and over again. Murders, different crime, politics. That can really affect you mentally. And sometimes I thought about, just getting out and finding something else to do that's not quite as taxing. But at the end of the day, this just draws me back. And I just love it so much. I'll tell you something. I think the hardest thing as a reporter, I hate to hear any news about something that's happened to a child who's been abused or killed in any kind of way. Like, that's hard to cover. As a reporter, sometimes you have to go knock on people's doors who have went through like some horrible tragedies and ask them for an interview. And I think every reporter will tell you, when you have to make those door knocks and ask someone, hey, can I put this camera in your face and talk to you about this tragedy that you just went through? I'm always surprised when people say yes, actually, because I'll probably say no. But it's just kind of, you really have to just kind of talk to them. It's all about how you talk to them and how you say it. If they understand that you have compassion and you're really just trying to share their story, more than likely they do it. But this is a business, you have to be sensitive. You always have to think to yourself, if I lost a loved one and I was the person on that other side of the door, how would I want a reporter to speak to me? So it's things like that I say it's always been difficult to handle, that sometimes I was like, I can't do this anymore. But at the end of the day, I feel like I'm making a difference. And so here we still are.
And I know you're talking about, the things that are rough about the industry that you're in and everything like that, but what is one of your favorite things, about your job?
So I really got into this business because I wanted to help people at the end of the day. I've always wanted to have a profession where I could help someone. So my job choices, I thought about becoming a teacher because I like kids. I wanted to work with kids. I thought about that. I thought about becoming a doctor because I wanted to help people with any issues there if it came to their health. But what I really enjoy is just having that effect, to have this platform, to be on TV, to amplify people who are in need of something. I was able to help a woman get a new van for her daughter. Her daughter was in a wheelchair, and her daughter was an adult, and she had to physically pick up her daughter every day and put her into this van, this old van, and she just couldn't do it anymore. And I was able to do her story and got her a brand new van. It's paid for. She'll never have to make a payment on it at all.
That's amazing.
So it's just to have that platform to do things like that. And we do things like that all the time. Like, I've been able to help people get money that they were owed, people who have been scammed out of different things. I've been able to get people thousands of dollars back that they thought they lost. So just to be able to have that platform to make a difference is what I enjoy.
What is it like broadcasting to millions of people every day? Does it affect your everyday life?
So you asked about broadcasting to like thousands of people every day. If you're going to go into this career field, I'll tell you, I can never really have a bad day because you basically become a public figure. And I don't know what it is about being on TV, but people feel like they can come up and say anything to you, anything. And I was in Target one day and this guy came up to me and he asked if he could rub my head. And I was like, I don't know who you are, you're not, I didn't say that, but I'm telling you, like, strange things happen like that to me all the time. People will come up to me in the grocery store and just say random things. People will comment on your clothes. They'll be like, oh, you look so much thinner and better looking in person. Like, and they don't care. And they think that's a compliment.
Right.
Or they'll tell you, oh, you look better on TV. Or something. People will come up and say anything to you because they feel like they know you because you're in their home every evening. And so when they see you in person, that's why I always say I can't have a bad day. I always have to be mindful of how I act, how I behave, what I look like when I go out into public. Because even if someone doesn't say anything to you, it doesn't mean they don't know who you are. So you always have to be on your toes because this is such a public job.
Right. And I've taken a lot of interest into your Ask Anthony and the things that you do with that. So if you don't mind, can you talk a little bit more on that and like how you come about doing that?
Yeah. So here in Jacksonville, for a long time, we had a reporter. His name was Ken Amaro, and he did a segment called I'm Telling Ken, where he pretty much did the same thing, and he would go out into the community and help people with different problems. And he did that for like 30 plus years, and he retired. So my bosses came to me and they said, we kind of want you to pick this up and do something similar to that. And I said, oh, I love that, because once again, I've always wanted to help people. And we were kind of brainstorming. I was like, let's just call it Ask Anthony. And so we started it in November of, what year is this, 2022. We started in November 2022. I get hundreds of emails daily.
Wow.
And phone calls that I can't even possibly get. It just tells you the need in the community and how many people just need help because they really don't know where to turn or who to go to ask the right questions. And so it's just constant emails, constant phone calls. Even people will come up to me in public if they have any problems. They'll ask if I can help them in any kind of way. And so it's just been hugely successful because once again, you just don't realize how many people are struggling to get some type of answer.
Right. And before we close out, me and Braden have a little bit of a funny question.
The last one.
Okay.
Wrapping it up.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a funny question.
Okay, all right.
So would you rather have toes on all of your fingers or fingers on all of your toes? And y'all talk about this too. Y'all talk about this one too.
So would I rather have toes on all of my fingers or fingers on all of my toes? I think I'd rather have fingers like on my feet.
Yeah.
Because then it's like multi-purpose. You can use them for everything. Like if you have fingers, you can. So would I still have fingers on my hands, or would I just have nothing?
Yeah,
Let's
you
add
just
all
have
fingers.
added extra.
Okay, yeah, I would do that.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, gotcha. Well, thank you so much for
No
coming and
problem.
talking with all of us. We really appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. Anthony.
No problem.